Hey guys, it's James, and today I wanted to go over the QYLG ticker symbol. I wanted to go over this fund and see what it would take to be able to obtain $100,000 a year in annual dividends. How long it would take if I started from scratch, and then how large of a fund would I need to be able to get $100,000 worth of dividends to where I could probably retire pretty comfortably. Fund name is it's the Global X NASDAQ 100 Covered Call and Growth ETF. QYLG is the sister fund to QYLD, D as in dividend, and then QYLG, G as in growth. So if we head over to Global X and go to the QYLG page, and we see that their QYLG ticker symbol is their NASDAQ 100 Covered Call and Growth ETF. So they have a purely covered call ETF, which would be the QYLD fund, but their QYLG fund is the covered call and growth. What they do with the QYLG is they only write calls on 50% of the portfolio, and the other 50% is allowed to grow normally as the NASDAQ 100 grows. So what is the portfolio? Well, their top 10 holdings consist of Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook, Nvidia, Tesla, Google C and A, Broadcom Incorporated, and Netflix. And then since this is the NASDAQ 100, there's probably going to be about 100 holdings in this fund. So let's take a look at how the NASDAQ has performed over the years. It looks like the inception year for the NASDAQ was 1986, according to slickcharts.com. Past few years, 3 years, the NASDAQ has had major return after return, 37%, 47%, 24%, and with returns continuing like this, it could either be one of two things that I can think of. It's all the stimulus money that they're pumping into the economy that people are in turn pumping into the stock market to get returns on that money, or the market is set for a correction. So if you notice right here, I was looking at these numbers earlier. In 1999, the NASDAQ grew 100%. That'd be pretty cool to have 100% growth on your money. If you had $100,000 in the NASDAQ 100 or a NASDAQ 100 equivalent fund, your $100,000 would have turned to $200,000 within 1 year. However, the next 3 years, you would have lost 36, 32, and 37%. And I believe that's what they call a correction in the market. So who knows what 22 is going to hold, but those are the numbers for the NASDAQ 100. So for the QYLG fund, here are the part of the portfolio that they do covered calls on. Let's go over to Seeking Alpha Data, and we see that QYLG, we're going to use some of this data here on this page. They have a share price of $33. Their 1 year growth is 9.76. We're going to use this figure right here. We come over here, their expense ratio is 0.6%. They have a dividend yield of 5.52%. We're going to use that. Then we come over to their dividend chart. The QYLG fund was they put it together about a year and a half ago. The first dividend payout, it looks like, was November 2020, and that was 14 cents. And it has stayed relatively the same over the past year. So you can see it started at around 14 cents and it has slowly crept up to almost 16 cents within a year and 3 months. So it looks like the fund has continued to grow, but like we saw the numbers over here on the NASDAQ 100 returns from Slick Charts, who knows if the market's headed for a correction or if these returns are just from the stimulus checks. We're not sure. Let's go over to my trusty calculator and check out the short term and long term for QYLG. So the fund share price, it looks like it closed at $33 today. The dividend yield was around 5.5% with an expense ratio of 0.6. It's a monthly dividend, and it would be 15 cents a month for a total of $1.82 for an entire year. So let's start conservative. Let's say there was 0 monthly addition. You did not add any to this fund, and you simply started with $1,000. Let's say you're 30 years old today. If we look at the long-term graph, we have if we just put money into the bank account, how it would grow if we had the dividends not reinvested, and if we had the dividends reinvested. So you can see the bank account obviously is not going to grow very much. Even after 50 years, your $1,000 is not going to grow very much. I believe the percentage I use was 0.02% growth. However, if you take a look over here, if you simply put $1,000 in a fund and let it grow for 50 years. However, you might not get the same growth, 9% growth every single year with the same dividend yield, with dividends reinvested. That might not be a realistic number, but who knows what the future holds. So let's see how big of a fund you would have $100,000 in dividends. We'll have to go over to this the tab where the math is all calculated. But let's go ahead and put in a fairly large number here. So if we take a peek at column I here and column M, it looks like we are going to be looking at $100,000 in dividends around the $1.7 to $1.8 million mark without having dividends reinvested. So let's say it would take you a long time to get $1 million be able to be built up. Let's start with a more modest $5,000. Let's say today you had $5,000 to invest. You wanted to put it all in QYLG. You were very bullish on the NASDAQ 100. And let's say you had $300 a month to be able to put into your fund. If the fund continued to grow at 9.76% with a continued dividend yield of 5.5%, $300 a month, we're going to have to skip the short-term graph because you're not going to be able to reach $1 million within 10 years. It's going to take quite a while. It looks like we're going to cross the $1 million mark between 20 and 30 years. So if you started at the age of 30 with all these numbers, you would be between 50 and 60 before you'd be able to hit your $1 million mark. Now we go over to the math and check where that would actually happen, and that would be 26 years from 30. So that would be right around 55 years old. And then that year at 55, your portfolio would have hit $1 million. Your dividend payout would be around $50,000. If you guys enjoyed that video and you want to see more videos like this, hit that like button and head down into the comments and let me know what you would like to see next. And if you would like to support the channel and you want access to this workbook, you can head over to Patreon and join my Patreon for $3 a month and be able to download this single fund investing calculator. And you can just sign up and then cancel your subscription if you just want to play around with the calculator, or you can stay joined up every single month, and every time I set up a new calculator or fix any bugs that I find or improve upon the calculator, you'll have access to the new version. If you don't want to spend any money right now, but you do want a little bit of a investing calculator, maybe not as strong as the two other calculators that are paid for, you can download my free 401k investing calculator. It's a simple calculator that I built that you can find some of these calculators online already for free as well. It helps you determine your 401k and how much money you have to be contributing and how much your employer contributes to be able to retire easily with your 401k. So if you guys like that, hit that like button. Again, subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you thought, and thanks for watching.